Are you considering a new website for your company? If so, do you know if you're ready? Let's talk through 10 considerations that you should be thinking through before you move forward with that new website project. So the first one would be your company's health and direction. Are you standing on a solid foundation? Do you know where you're going? If not, it's good to take a step back and just think for a little while about your goals and where you want to be, because your new website should be a stepping stone in that process in helping you move forward with where you want to be. The next consideration would be any upcoming changes you have to your company. So that could be a change in leadership, that could be a change in services or products that you're offering. If you're looking at making some changes that are bigger like that in the next few months, those would be things that your web company needs to know, and also things that you as a business owner should be preparing for and have the information to pass on to your web company before you move into development. After considering upcoming changes, you would also want to think about your audience. How well do you know your audience? I always would encourage clients to take a step back and truly assess whether or not they know their clients or they're projecting what they believe their audience wants onto their audience. I especially see clients make this mistake when it comes to colors and branding. You have a certain set of colors, a certain style that resonates with you, but the problem is that you are not your audience. And so it's super important to be able to separate your own preferences from what resonates with your audience and make sure that you are really communicating with your audience and that they're resonating with your message and your branding, because you're selling to your audience and not to yourself. After audience, you want to identify gaps in your current website and then goals for your new website. So some gaps might be that people are adding products to their cart but never following through with that purchase. Or maybe there's not a way for people to contact you through a contact form on the website. Or maybe you have people calling and emailing all the time with the exact same questions, and the website should be answering those questions for them. Those would all be things that you want to take stock of and write down before you meet with your web company, so they can help you solve those problems going forward, and you don't have to worry as much about some of those mundane things that are not working for your audience now, but with the new website, that problem could be solved. The next thing would be your customers' needs. So what do your customers need when they come to the website? Are there, again, questions that they're asking often that could be answered on the website? What are some of the biggest fears that your customers are dealing with, and how can you speak to those and help put their minds at ease and show them that by using your product or service, those things will be solved for them. Next would be functionality of the website. So we truly believe that your website should function as really another member of your team. So it should be answering questions for your visitors. It should be a place where people can come to you and ask questions. Especially like filling out a contact form rather than having to give you a call. That can help you field some of those questions a little bit more easily and help save time on your end. So with good strategy, and if you can take the time up front to think through these needs for functionality, it really can be a better investment in the end. Next would be your logo and branding. So is your logo up to date? Is it resonating with your audience? It can be very easy for a logo to maybe be outdated. Even if it's 5 to 10 years old, maybe you don't need a brand new logo, but just something that is modernized a little bit and helps you keep up with the times. The next thing would be photography and video. We can use stock imagery on a website, but it really is so much better if we can capture photos and video of you and the space that you're in, whether that's your office or the facility you work in. It's just really nice for clients to see the real you and who you are. So if that's something that you want to include on your website, that needs to be done prior to starting the rest of the project, because you don't want your photos and video to be an afterthought, but something that your whole website is built around, because really those photos and that video, it shows your culture, and the design of your website should be centered around who you are and the culture of your company. After photography and video, you want to think through content strategy. A mistake I see clients make often is that they want to tell everything about their product or service. Really, all you need is to tell your website visitors what they're getting with your product or service. There's a place for education and providing a lot of content around the benefits of your product, but you really want to make sure that you're not talking about yourself and you're talking about the benefit that your clients get by choosing your product or service. So that content strategy is really important, and sometimes it takes a little bit to take a step back and realize that the content on your website that really needs to be there is content that will sell and not just content that will educate. And then the final consideration is calls to action. What do you want people to do when they come to your website? Do you want them to make a purchase? Do you want them to fill out a form and ask you a question? Do you want them to schedule a demo? This is really important, because otherwise your website doesn't really move people forward to the next step. That call to action on every single page should be a very clear next step for all of your visitors, so they know where to go from where they're at. So a good call to action is another part of your website strategy that helps make your website another part of your team and helps move you forward as a business. So that's all 10 of our considerations before starting a new website project. Hope you've enjoyed this segment of Marketing Matters.